Hello, I am Mountain, and today I am showing you some abandoned places. You know that building down the road that looks run down and a bit sketchy? Well, today I'm going over some of the biggest and creepiest abandoned places. Some of these look like they are from a scary movie. And without further ado, here are top 5 abandoned places.
Number 5.
Hashima Island, Japan. Hashima Island is 6 miles off the coast of Nagasaki, Japan. The island looks very eerie and spooky and provides an insight to what life may look like if everyone died. This island was a coal mining plant and was in operation from 1887 through 1974, and at its peak had 5,259 inhabitants in 1959. The plant closed in 1974 due to the petroleum industry taking off and leaving coal too expensive to mine. This island was closed to the public for 35 years, and some parts of the island still are closed. But in 2009, most of the island became open to the public again. You might have seen this island before in the James Bond movie Skyfall. The island has become a popular tourist attraction for adventurous urban explorers. And to make it even more cool, you can even have a Google Street image of the whole island because Google sent an employee to map it out.
Number 4.
Russia's Aqua Waterpark. Russia is known for being a little crazy sometimes, and in 1997 they built a massive indoor water park in Moscow. Originally built for the World Youth Games, the listing of its proposed facilities proves that they spared no expense, nor any fucks given for this finished product. The water park was supposed to be a 12-story glass roof, 3 underground floors, an additional 9 floors above ground, 5 swimming pools, complete with water slides, and an indoor track and field. Unfortunately, construction of the water park ran into a few problems. The main one being that the World Youth Games were in 1998. The construction of the massive water park started in 1997. Time wasn't on their side, and it didn't make the cut for the World Youth Games, but construction pressed on for 4 more years until 2002, at which point they finally had to admit no matter how awesome it was, one cannot dive backward through time to the 1998 Youth Games. So basically it was a big screw-up. Try having to admit something like that to the public. In 2007, the building was sold with plans to convert it into a shopping mall. So far, nothing has happened, and this building has let nature come and overtake it.
Number 3.
Number 3, North Korea's fake city. North Korea is always in the news, and here is a city the North Koreans made for propaganda to the South Koreans. From the outside, I thought the North Korean village of Kijang looks like any other town. Brightly painted houses, schools, daycare, even a hospital. Sadly, we don't have many pictures because North Korea is cut off from the world. Do a little digging, and soon we will find a shocking discovery. Sitting in the heavily guarded DMZ or demilitarized zone that separates North and South Korea, Kijang is widely referred to as the propaganda village and is believed to be a decoy for luring South Korean defectors to the North Korean border. Built in the 2.5-mile wide DMZ that was set up in 1953 as an armistice to end the Korean War, the town claims to have 200 residents and boasts an image of economic success. Soon, curious South Koreans began to investigate, and they realized the buildings were just concrete shells with no glass windows. They also realized that no one even lives there besides a few maintenance workers to give the illusion that people live here. To make things even more crazy, in the 1980s, the South Korean government built a 321-foot tall flagpole in the opposite city of Gyeongsang-dong to antagonize the North. This was quickly countered by the North Koreans, which they built a 525-foot tall flagpole in response. It was at that time the tallest in the world. The village is now surrounded by extensive cultivated fields, with the North Korean government officially claiming it as a collective farm for its residents.
Number 2.
Danvers State Hospital. Abandoned asylums don't need ghosts to make them creepy. Cages for humans, vestiges, or dubious treatments and ice pick lobotomies do the job just fine. But what is an abandoned asylum without ghosts and spooky places? Part prison, part asylum, all terror. This Gothic monolith opened in 1878 to house mentally unstable criminals. Thanks to the addition of the mentally handicapped, alcoholics, and plain old felons, it became so severely understaffed by the 1930s that patients' deaths were not even discovered until a few days later, when they were found rotting in some forgotten corner. Shock therapy and lobotomies were standard procedures. In fact, some call Danvers the birthplace of prefrontal lobotomy, but a large cemetery on site said to be haunted by evil spirits suggests these were not always successful. The sinister-looking castle is said to have inspired H.P. Lovecraft's Arkham Sanitarium and so also Batman's Arkham Asylum, and was the setting of demon movie Session 9. And as if that weren't enough, Danvers used to be the place where the Salem Witch Village was. Yup, the Salem Witch Trials. The Salem Witch Trials were when the city residents began to accuse people of witchcraft and ended up hanging the guilty witches. Regular ghosts are one thing, witch ghosts are another altogether. Would you want to spend the night here for $100? Because I certainly wouldn't.
Number 1.
Pripyat, Ukraine. 50,000 people used to live here. Now it's a ghost town. In the 1970s, the town of Pripyat, less than 3 kilometers away from the reactor Chernobyl, was constructed for the plant's personnel. Once a beautiful town by Soviet standards, its 50,000 inhabitants were evacuated 36 hours after the accident. The explosion was not even noticed by the West, and the USSR kept this secret until scientists in Sweden saw the radiation had gone up all over Europe. The USSR announced that the cleanup crew were all volunteers, but some people are still skeptical to this day. Today, a chilling ghost town, its buildings bear witness to the hasty departure. Dolls and gas masks are scattered on floors of abandoned kindergartens. Children's cots are littered with shreds of mattresses and pillows. Amidst the surrounding decay, decades after the catastrophe, nature reclaims the town. Trees grow through broken windows, and grass pushes up through the cracks in the dormant roads that once were glorious promenades. But the town remains unfit for human habitation for thousands of years to come. Today, nature is slowly dismantling the city, thriving among evacuated homes and buildings, and standing in stark contrast to the fear-plagued lives of people who survived the world's worst nuclear disaster to date. Most of them received high doses of radiation, resulting in cancers and other exposure-induced diseases, often only flaring up decades after the event. 70% of the fallout drifted into southern Belarus, contaminating nearly a quarter of the country. The lesson here is don't play with radiation and nuclear reactors. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did enjoy this, don't forget to subscribe and drop a like if you want to see more top 5s. Anyways, this is Mountain signing off on T5U, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.